All right, round three. So this is we're on 2 out of 2 going into this game, and we are playing down again, but not as much as we had been. So it's this is a strong opponent. And we get Queen's Gambit accepted, which is what I had decided to play in this event. Knight f3, knight f6. We're in book for quite a while. Up until this point, knight c6, and then I knew DC I knew was a move, but it's not the most ambitious really for white. It sort of just allows black to equalize, maybe white has a slight edge. Um, but yeah, for this sort of my preparation sort of ends after trading the queens and playing bishop takes c5. So now we're out of book, and we just have position. My opponent plays knight c3, and now I take a little bit of a think here because I need to figure out how I want to develop my pieces and where how I want to challenge the d file is the most important thing. How do I want to get a rook to d8? So king e7 is the first move that comes to mind, but I thought there it may be like b3, and then if I play rook d8, then takes rook d1, and it's not. I'm not quite getting what I want, so I decided that b6 is the correct way to go. To play bishop b7, and also to on king e7, then I have both rooks that can come to d8. So h3, and it's sort of an interesting move. I wasn't quite sure the point. I was thinking maybe my opponent wants to play e4, and on e4 there there was knight g4, which would have basically won the game. But now h3 stops that move. So I need to sort of, I'm not sure if e4 is even really what white really wants to be doing. But just in case, I want to make sure it wasn't playable. Bishop b7 was the next move in my plan anyway, and it does stop e4 because I'll have knight a5, and then the pawn will hang. So knight d4, and here is where I play maybe a bit of a controversial move, but I thought it was I couldn't quite make anything else work really. I was trying to play uh, to get some sort of imbalance, so I play bishop takes d4, and this occurred. The move that I really wanted to play was king e7. That was my main line for a little while, but I wasn't quite sure what to do after knight b3. The bishop maybe can go to b4, but it just felt like I wasn't really getting what I wanted there. Maybe knight a2 even could happen. So, and now the king's on e7, the bishop doesn't have a retreating square. So, um, yeah, king e7 I think had some maybe an issue or two, and I didn't really like knight takes because after after e takes, if I move the bishop to like let's say we get the position like this, there was a move that I wasn't happy about having to face here. I don't quite remember what it was. Maybe it was d5. Is d5 playable? Takes. It was maybe d5 I didn't want. Um, I don't quite remember, but either way, I just wanted to create an imbalance, stop d5, and then I'll bring the rooks in. It seemed very promising. So bishop takes d4. Maybe not the best, but I was a fan when I played it. Knight b4. Bishop f4, and this was the thing I had to see, was that here I had the move rook c8, otherwise it would be bishop c7, and if I play this move immediately, I was worried about like taking it and then bishop c7, so rook c8 felt was an important tempo to gain. Bishop goes to b3, maybe the bishop should go back to the other diagonal because of what happens in the game, but it's really hard to criticize bishop b3. In my head, that was the move to play when I play rook c8. So, but now knight bd5, and it's very challenging for white. The most so this is a fork. First of all, I'm threatening the bishop on f4 and also to take twice on c3. So the most natural move would be to take the knight, but this move might just lose. So bishop d2 I think is the alternative move and should be played, even though it looks very passive. Probably black is a little bit better already, but after this move I have to take with the bishop, which is a very important positional concept to understand. It seems like my bishop on b7 is a very nice piece, and it seems like white's bishop is sort of just looking at these pawns and not really doing very much. Mine is like attacking the king. But this position is not about attacking. It's about positional play. And the positional trump that I have is this isolated d pawn that I have blockaded by my knight. The positional trump that white has is the activity of the two bishops. And so all I need to do is get rid of the two bishops. And if I can leave white with this bishop and I keep this horse, it's going to be really nice in the end game because the only open file is the c file. I'm going to be able to get a counterplay or force the rooks to get traded, and then it's just going to be straight good horse, bad bishop endgame, where the horse will generally prevail. So um, my opponent does take, and after bishop takes, I think she sort of realizes how uh, desperate the position is because there's no way to save the bishop. She can't keep it. You know, if she tries rook a3, I'm just going to take it. It doesn't matter that the rook gets a little bit of play because the light squares are where the play is at that point, and I'm just going to play rook c6. I'm going to play king d7. I'm going to play the next rook to c8. I'm going to get in, and it's just going to be a very nice position for black. That's how I was feeling about it anyway. She just takes, allows takes, and then puts the bishop on h2, which probably, you know, it's definitely not the most accurate square. It's a very passive square, but it was already sort of, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a bad position regardless. This is just not the most resilient defense. Now king d7, rook c1. I trade, I play rook c8. She needs to trade this rook, otherwise I play rook c4 and win even, you know, I start to win material. So takes, and now we get this endgame, which is a dream endgame for me. So king f1, king d7, king gets up, and I play b5. The idea is to take it back with the king. So the moves that she has at her disposal are not ideal. You know, there's b3. B3, I was just going to bring the king, and now you see the bishop being on h2 is so bad because it just can't get to check my king when it goes to a5 before it gets to b4. And the white king, you know, if you imagine b3 king here, there's really just like nothing to do. Like here, too slow, and I'm in. You know, king c2, now I take this pawn. I could even actually in this position take the pawn twice. But it's just the king comes in if b3. So a5 was played, but now knight e7, and now I think this position is just I think it's winning now because the bishop is on such a passive square. It can't bring itself to defend the pawns in time. And my next moves are king d5 and knight c6, which will be a fork on the two pawns. And if b4, then it'll be forking that one and that one as well. So it's just no matter what you do, I'm going to win a pawn there. So the only thing that you can try is king e4. And after king e4, I saw I had the very nice move f5 check, and king e5 looks like getting active, but actually after king d7, I'm threatening checkmate. So yeah, here probably the best, and also d5 is not possible because I still have knight takes. I have two pieces on that. So yeah, here probably the best would be this move, and now I'm able to bring the king. You can move with a check, sure, but I get king d5, knight c6 coming. So no matter what, after knight e7, I'm getting my king to d5. I'm going to win pawns. I'm just going to start collecting pawns now. F3, and the rest of this game is sort of, you know, I think very nice technique from me, but you know, it's game just goes for a little while. I like knight b4 check because now I play a5, and it's sort of similar to my first round game where I like use the knight to stop the king from covering a square, and now here I've guaranteed myself the e4 square. With this construction, the bishop can't attack the pawns because it's just stuck. It's just one of the worst bishops that you can imagine. Bishop e3, king e4, bishop d2, a check now. I play a4 not to hang a pawn. F5 takes. I don't even want to take this pawn yet and allow king d3. I'm just going to start by pushing the king back. Now I can take it. Now there's no king d3. G6, just positionally, you know, why all my pawns on light squares. There's no need to take this pawn. Can never do anything. King e4, and then I just push the f pawn. She keeps playing, sacrifices all of her material, maybe hoping for some stalemate. But after king d3, knight e3, the king is mitigated to just these three squares, and now there's nothing to stop this pawn from becoming a rook. And so for the second game in a row, I underpromote with a checkmate. So it was a very nice one. I was very happy with this game. This is probably my favorite game I've played in a long time because it felt these sorts of end games are just my favorite thing. I love playing uh, those sorts of endgames where it's just like I have this significant advantage and material might be equal, but it's just the strategic plans are very nice and yeah, I just this I was really happy with this game. So let's take a look. Um, so we get from the opening up until here in this position I knew was maybe a slight edge for white, but pretty much equal. Knight c3. So king e7 is a move, castles is another move, b6 is a move. After so I played b6, which I like this move a lot. H3. So king e7 and bishop b7 both moves. Bishop b7 makes more sense to me. And now here's the question. Bishop takes d4. It's not being listed, so probably not a great move, but a fine move. It prefers other moves like knight a5, knight b4, king e7. So king e7, um, knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, I was happy with. This position I did see, and I felt like I had a slight edge. But I wasn't quite sure after this move what I was doing. Bishop b4. Like, if this move, bishop d6, I guess it does have this square. And the knight on a2 doesn't really make sense. It just, I don't know, I wasn't attracted to that position for some reason. Um, and knight a5, I also didn't think was super great. I mean, it is nice, I guess, just to it's like what's a sample line here? Knight a5, bishop drops back to a2, and then like if I play king e7 now, the idea is now there's no knight takes c6. But the reason I didn't want this position is because the pawn structure is symmetrical, and if I want to play for a win, I need to create some sort of imbalance. I guess in this case, I'm just going to play like rook d8, and I'll have piece play, very nice piece play here. The bishop's a little bit weird on a2, but I don't know. So what was the way that she should have played after this position? So e takes, right? Knight b4. And what is the way that she should play here? Bishop g5, bishop d2, b3. Any of these moves, I guess, are fine. So bishop f4 is maybe the mistake, which because it allows this like knight b4, knight d5 is a rook c8 was an important move. But here like this knight b d5. I guess machine thinks that king e7 here is best. Knight b d5. I like the knight b d5 more than knight f d5 because if I play knight f d5, I was a little bit worried about this bishop d6 move. But this is probably nothing to be concerned about. I can just take on c3. D takes c3, rook takes c3, and that hits the bishop. So tactically, this just is not working out. But I thought that this move was, it just didn't give that option, and the trade is probably coming regardless. So, yeah, I guess king e7 would have been more accurate, but this is also a fine way of playing. Take, and now rook dc1, I would have met with king d7. Oh, but that gets the square. That's how she needs to keep the bishop alive. It's a little bit strange, but this is, yeah, okay, this makes sense. Now bishop d1. And so there is actually a way to keep the bishop alive. A little bit difficult to find, and you also have to understand that you want to keep the bishop alive. But yeah, okay, so in that case, then this position is not as good as I thought it was, if there's this way to keep it alive. Now, once she takes, now this position I think is pretty close to winning. Machine only gives 0.3, but this is very difficult position for white to play, especially after bishop h2. Now it might be winning. King d7. Now here I just trade off all the rooks. Rook takes here. So the machine didn't want to take all the rooks, but this position felt really good. King e2, king c6, king d3, b5. So ab would have been a better way, or b3 would have been a better way. So a5 is the losing move because it just like lets me get all my I just attack it with my horse, and that's very nice. So that would be a bad move. So how about after b3, I was probably going to play king b6, and only now taking it. Takes, king takes, and then there's this bishop d6 like sort of fortress idea. And this would have been a little bit difficult for me to press, I guess, because I'm sort of like, yes, I have this horse that's much more flexible, but This blockade is very unpleasant. So yeah, I guess there would be still a way to hold. Um, it's unfortunate, because I would have thought that this position is just very, very good for black, but I guess it makes sense. It's material equality, and even the worst bishop is better than the best horse. There's an expression for everything. You can look at any position and make it make sense. Um, so a5 is the blunder, and then from here it's probably very clean. Once I get king d5, yeah, yeah, this move I had this f5, um, and the king d7. So yeah, this would have been very nice. Um, so that yeah, this is pretty much over. And then yeah, just made it the end. Game went on for quite a while, but in the end, got the job done. So now we're on 3 out of 3 in this tournament, and it's a 5-round event, so we have 2 days left, or two rounds left in the final day. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game. This was definitely I learned a lot while playing it, and learned a bit now as well, just like looking at it. So I hope it was sort of like an instructive game for how to like play. Uh, I mean, yeah, maybe bishop takes d4 wasn't the most accurate, but how to play for a win in an equal position. That's sort of what I was trying to do in this game, and it worked sort of. Uh, it didn't really take very much effort actually for me to do the stuff that I was doing, because it was all just strategic concepts that I didn't really need to calculate anything, It's just like you have to put. I mean, I like there's I have to calculate f5 king d7 later on, but for the most part, it's just like, okay, I'll just trade the light square bishops. Doesn't seem like there's a way to keep them. Like maybe there was. So maybe it would have been a little harder if I had seen more, but as the person playing it, it felt just sort of like a very nice bishop takes d4 positional concept that won the game. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.